We're told that none of the important historical writers of the period, Roman or Jewish, make mention of Yeshua. It's questionable whether he even existed. Well, that's not really a Jewish objection. That's more of just a nihilistic, agnostic objection or a faith-denying objection. Why do I say it? Well, even the most critical scholars who don't believe the New Testament is God's word, or don't believe the Bible is God's word, or don't believe Jesus was any special figure, virtually all of them, the top scholars, recognize, of course, he existed. And in fact, we do have major testimony from the ancient historians. We don't have any preserved writings. If there was a major historian who wrote at the time of Yeshua, a major Roman historian, he's got his annals of history at that time, we don't have those preserved, period. But the Roman historians were not like CNN reporters. It's not like getting an app on your phone and as the news happens, bing, you find it out. They would step back and they would wait and they would look at the scope of history and then they would write their histories. And those who do make reference to Yeshua. Or there are other anecdotal references about him being crucified under Pilate, or about his followers worshiping him as a god of some kind. And in fact, they didn't understand what Christos meant because that was a Jewish concept, the anointed one. Some thought his name was Chrestus and his followers were Christians. But they attested to him and to the followers. And you have major historians and minor. Again, I document that all in my book, but just giving you the overview. Josephus does speak about Yeshua, but we are confident, we are sure that there are additions to his account, that he wrote certain things about Yeshua, and then later, apparently, Christian authors added to his account, forged things, added to it. That's the best way to understand it. Almost no major Josephus scholars believe that the text as we have it today recounts exactly what he said about Yeshua in his day. But the great majority, the great majority of Josephus scholars recognize that he, the most prominent Jewish historian of the first century, does attest to Yeshua's existence without question. How much he said is debated, but that he attested to his existence is hardly debated at all. Let me go further. The Talmud itself mentions the crucifixion of Jesus at the time of Passover, or his being hanged. The Talmud speaks of it and says that the court sentenced him to death. And Moses Maimonides, in his Mishnah Torah, speaks of it explicitly. The exact same way speaks of it. So the idea that he didn't exist, it's not a Jewish objection. As I said, the Talmud mentions his death, Maimonides mentions his death, and they mention it as something that Jewish law wanted carried out because of his alleged sins and crimes. So his existence, his historical existence, is not to be questioned. And the fact that his followers were willing to die for him after having seen him rise from the dead, and that there are numerous eyewitnesses who claim to have physically seen him rise from the dead, you have to understand, people lose loved ones all the time. People lose leaders of movements all the time. People lose beloved heroes all the time. And they want to believe that person exists. And they want to have some type of scenario like some of the devoted followers of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, that his death was just a test for our faith. And if you go to the grave, he's not really there, that he's spiritually risen. But where are the ones with all their devotion saying we have physically seen him and eaten with him, and we have seen him physically risen from the dead? You see, those types of myths don't just rise out of nothing. There is ample historical reason to believe in the resurrection of Yeshua, but that's something for another class to take up. More importantly, he continues to do from heaven by his Spirit what he did on the earth, testifying to his ongoing existence.